I think in order to understand why the lake is polluted in the first place, you have to understand what people came here and have done. You know, that they've come and cut down a lot of the trees that would have existed here, and they turned a lot of the land around the lake into farmland. That's what drives a lot of the phosphorus, I think, pollution that we have to deal with in the lake.
Our watershed is made of tiny molecules that are all connected to each other. And so when rain falls onto the surface of the land anywhere in our watershed, little molecules that are on the soil attach to the water molecules, and they flow into the system of little brooks and rivers that flow into the lake. So phosphorus and nitrogen and potassium are the three big nutrients that become runoff, or are sort of labeled as problem runoff, and they occur naturally. But when they become a problem is when there's too much of them in the system. And the main source of them is from fertilizers, but that are used on farm fields, but they also do occur naturally. So blue-green algae is actually a cyanobacteria, and it is a sign of high levels of nutrients. There are some forms of cyanobacteria that are toxic.
This is Layla, and this is her story. Layla was a dog that lived in Minnesota. She was 4 years old when she died. The cause of her death is simple: algae poisoning. Algae is a toxic plant that lives on water. It harms and poisons us and our pets. Layla met her demise in Minnesota, but it could easily have taken place in Vermont. Algae is the result of the excess of nutrients such as phosphorus and nitrogen, plus warm water temperature.
I'm Olivia Beauchamp. I'm in 11th grade, and I'm in the Maritime Museum program.
We spend a lot of time doing education programs for school groups. So we bring students to here and we go out in canoes and we measure water quality, and we talk to the students about where different components of the water come from. And we use these little kits, which are very easy, low-cost water monitoring kits. And so the students that come to our school groups or school programs, they actually take these water quality kits and they test for how much phosphorus is in the water and how you measure it, and what's a bad measurement, what's a good measurement, what's a normal measurement. And then they also test for nitrogen, and we also test for oxygen. The amount of dissolved oxygen in the water, so that tells you different information about how healthy the water is for fish to live in. And so that's one really important thing that we do. And also one of our core values as an organization is stewardship. So it's really important to us to explain what stewardship means, and taking care of our watershed is something that we do as an organization by trying to keep our part of the lake clean and monitoring to make sure that if there's trouble or problems that we report them.
We did a sampling with Riverwatch, Addison County Riverwatch, and basically we went to a couple streams in New Haven and we collected samples for like phosphorus and nitrogen, a whole bunch of stuff, and that's done monthly every spring, just to like see how our streams and rivers are doing.
So I'm Andrew Silverman. I am a junior at CVU, and I am 16 years old, and I made a blue-green algae treatment buoy when I was in sophomore year at the age of 15. One of the original things we'd planned to do was just to go with a sensor buoy and leave it at that. Then we discovered that those already existed and we couldn't figure out a way to improve on the design, so we decided to take a more proactive look at it. And that was the point where Jack got involved, because we were trying to figure out the easiest way to get it out. First we went with a scoop method, but then discovered that that did not specifically target blue-green algae at all, and that we're more likely to pick up green algae than blue-green algae. And then once we scooped it up, we had no good way of killing it without, then dumping the remains back into the water. And since the toxin associated with blue green algae does not die with the algae, it can linger in the water for several weeks afterwards. That was not a great plan. So we decided to go with the phycomycin alternative because it was the cleanest that we could find without leaving the water polluted for an undue amount of time. Missisquoi Bay and St. Albans Bay have some fairly large issues with blue green algae right now, and I think leaving a few sensor buoys out is not really going to be enough. We have no way of getting rid of it.
I would say a lot of the things that we do here at the museum when classes come, you can connect most of the things we do here with pollution to some degree, I would say, if they have to do with the lake, because we're always conscious of that if we're talking about the environment, which we are, because even though it's a museum that has a lot to do with history and archaeology and all sorts of other things, that's so connected to the lake and the environmental conditions of the lake that it all just goes together really, in an important way, I think.
And even learning about the past remains and life on the lake and that history about past pollution, the students learning about that and kids learning about that kind of sets them up for, we don't want that to happen to the lake while we're adults, and we don't want maybe our future kids to have that problem, or they want a clean environment like it used to be here.